Mississippi app, and of course you can always find us too on your local SuperTalk Mississippi radio station. And we are live. We are still live in downtown New Albany. We're helping to kick off the 2023 Tallahatchie River Festival, which is coming up September the 21st through the 23rd. It is presented by B&A Bank, Baptist Memorial Hospital, and Renaissance Bank. If you want more information and plan your visit to New Albany, go to newalbanymainstreet.com. And Rhino, I don't know if you just remembered our guest Jill Smith from the Union County Heritage Museum. She's the director there, but you used harmonicas to bring us back into good things. And the first time, Jill, you were on with us, we were talking about y'all's great harmonica workshop that you guys had offered with a renowned harmonicist, or is that how you say it?
I think that works.
You think that works. So first, welcome back, and I'm happy I get to meet you in person.
Yes.
But backtrack just a little bit. How was y'all's harmonica event?
It was great. It was a beginner thing, and there were probably about 25 people there and different levels of competency. So it turned out to be a good event. And then we followed up with a songwriter event. So that's just part of our literary, our festival that we start in July, and it goes all the way through October.
So there's always something fun and interesting to do here in New Albany and with your museums and all the things going on. So what are all the things that if someone wants to plan their trip to the Tallahatchie Riverfest coming up the 21st through the 23rd, and maybe they are festivaled out for the moment and want to get off the beaten path, what all is there for them to do? Or maybe maybe you are intertwined within the festival.
We do the literary part of the festival. Tomorrow we have the literary luncheon and announce the winners of the annual Faulkner Literary Competition. We have about 400 entries from all over the world, and we'll announce the winners and hand out about $6,000 in prize money. And
is that something that happens every year?
It does.
Who are the ones? Who is judging someone that they can win? That, to me, that feels like that would be really hard to judge.
It's a big secret who judges it, but we have a novel competition and a short story, one-act play, and poetry, and then a student competition. So there's a good opportunity that you can win. You can win money.
You mentioned that was from all over the world. I mean, how far away are folks making submissions? Will they travel here to see if they win?
Sometimes they do. We usually will let them know in time for them to come if they're winners, but we've had them from Ireland, Australia, the United Kingdom.
All the way here to New Albany, Mississippi. Yeah. That's really neat. Okay. So what else will y'all be doing within the Riverfest?
Well, the museum has its exhibits. We have a timeline of the county, and we have the Southern Light Photography exhibit right now that the photographers have paired with artists to interpret the photographs. So that's a cool thing. It will close next week, and so it'll be open for this. We're right on the verge of opening our sports exhibit that has turned out to be much bigger than we ever thought it would be, but it's going to be great. We have a William Faulkner Literary Garden that is always open, and we're having a big fundraiser there tomorrow night with music and food and
Is that one of those situations where it's a beautiful garden and then it has opportunities for you to stop and sit and maybe read or take in a moment? Is that kind of how it, like a self-led kind of thing?
It is, We pulled out the thread of Faulkner's work of how he treated the landscape and used it in his work. And, you can pull a lot of threads out in Faulkner's work, but that really, you see how he saw the landscape, and he loved plants, he loved nature, he was a big woodsman. So you can learn about him through that.
So if they're watching Jill on SuperTalk TV, they see us. We're right here in downtown. We're right at the mouth of the Tanglefoot Trail. Right behind us, you can see the cute little bridge. Where is the museum? So where would we be? Okay. Would we have to go off the beaten path, or are we kind of right here downtown? Or
we're 2 blocks over north of this location, 114 Cleveland Street. It's within walking distance. Across the railroad tracks. We're on the other side of the tracks. We're those people.
We're those people, but then also I was thinking, what Mississippi direction is that? Just 2 blocks right over but that's a good thing to know, is if you're coming in and you're going to enjoy the festival, or maybe you're coming in for one of the other events, it feels like once you get downtown and get settled here in New Albany, there's just so much within walking distance
for
you to be able to shop or to eat or to sort of go and sort of enjoy. How big is the museum?
We have 2.5 city blocks, 11,000 square feet indoors, and we have a vintage barbecue hut that we're getting ready to open. We've restored it. We have a park. It's called the Crossing on the Green. It's just a half a block, but it's a railroad park that has a deck on it if you want to sit and watch the trains. And we have the Faulkner Inn, which is an Airbnb on the Faulkner birth site. So there's a lot to see and do.
I was gonna say, so you're not busy at all, are you, Miss
No.
Jill? Never, always downtime, never.
Yeah.
No. I know right now you're really gearing up, particularly with the luncheon and everything sort of going on. As a longtime or one that lives in New Albany, another New Albany, I don't know what you call your title.
New Albanian.
New Albanian. You do know that name, New Albanian. We have learned a new word today. How exciting! What's the buzz like right now with the festival to kick off tomorrow and then into the weekend?
And it looks like the weather's going to be good, and it's just an exciting time. We always have the Riverfest. It's on the fourth weekend. That's closest to William Faulkner's birthday. That's kind of how it all started. We always celebrate I guess he's our most famous native son, one of our most famous.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's always good for this time of year to come around. It's fall, and that's always great.
So who would you put second to William Faulkner from New Albany?
Eli Whiteside.
And if we don't know who that is, who
Oh,
is
my
he?
goodness. Well, you'll have to come to the sports exhibit.
Please don't throw darts at me.
You know, he's a fabulous baseball player that grew up here, and when he was 12 years old, he was the first person to knock a home run out of the new sportsplex. That kind of set the tone for his life, I think. And just a great guy. Went on to play for the San Francisco Giants, has 2 World Series rings, and now he's come back to New Albany and just kind of real low-key and raising his kids here.
Oh, that's a great story.
It is.
And you mentioned that the sports exhibit was kind of growing bigger than you thought it would be. Would there be a lot of significant sports headlines to come out of New Albany that people might be surprised about?
I think so. Well, you're too young to have.
Thank you.
But I remember.
I don't even know where that's going, but I don't hear that very often anymore. So.
Well, if you were watching the 1974
I was not.
National Championship football game,
About 9 years too soon.
There was a big event that happened at that. That was one of our famous people was the referee there, and he threw Woody Hayes out of the game. And Woody Hayes was a famous coach, and he lost his job because he had hit a player. That's one of those moments in time that, like Sports Illustrated says, if you know where you were when Kennedy was shot, and you know where you were when Woody Hayes got thrown out of the national championship game. So Johnny Grace, who was born on Cleveland Street, was that referee that made that call.
So when they come to the new exhibit, is it just memorabilia? Will it be interactive? Kind of, how will that be set up?
It's interactive because, I bet if we sat here long enough, you probably have a sports story that something that happened to you. So we have a YouTube channel that we've interviewed a lot of people about their sports stories, and everybody's got one.
Everyone does have one if you stop and sort of think about it. And then sometimes famous in a small town means maybe it's not headlines for everybody, but for those that grew up or appreciate this, this county, they're going to remember it.
Yes, it's sports is such a huge thing, and I knew this, but I guess I'd kind of forgotten it. But when we started interviewing people, you realize that many times that's the high point of their lives, when they caught that touchdown or made that tennis shot or hit the goal with the buzzer ringing, and it's just those moments that they never forget. So.
And they are carved out sort of in time, even if you were someone there witnessing it or watching it, and it's kind of just a stamp within our own memory. But there's always two sides to that, for the better or for the worse, because when it comes to sports, there's always there's one that won. But some of those stories, everyone gets to be a winner in that. Speaking of thinking of, Jill, like Chase earlier with Parks and Recreation, how many more news stories may be written here in New Albany?
It's continuing to happen, and it's all about your community, and this community supports sports in a very big way, and always has. We've got some old photos that go back into the 1890s of baseball teams that there were the Fats and the Leans.
You couldn't name it. That would not be politically correct
you
anymore.
You couldn't do that right now, but they formed these two teams to raise money to clean the cemetery. And they had their, we have that photograph of that moment.
So if you make your way down to New Albany, like we encourage you all to do, either for the Tallahatchie Riverfest or just for a good weekend getaway, you got to make your way to the museum there to make sure that the Union County Heritage Museum, 2 blocks, how'd you say it, 2 blocks over the tracks?
That's right. We're 2 blocks across the tracks.
2 blocks across the tracks, and see all the good things they were up to. Jill, I appreciate your time.
Thank you,
You
Rebecca.
guys stick with us. We got a few more good things for you coming up next.